Hi there. Today we are going to talk about Vermeer's painting, The Little Street. So let's jump in. So this is Vermeer's painting of The Little Street, and this was completed in 1657 to 58, and it was, when we look at the time scale of Vermeer's career, this is probably the switch when he switched. This might be his first painting that he completed in the new genre of like focusing on everyday life and like just the simple things versus his history and allegorical paintings, religious and allegorical paintings that he did earlier in his career. And this painting is a composite of buildings. It is not a true it probably was never, it never existed architecturally in truth. It is, however, it looks exceptionally real, and it is a very beautiful painting too. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it in let's look at it in composition, and like overall, there's a ton about this painting that is wonderful. But like one thing that like is obvious about this painting, that like people believe that this is a composite, a painting created purely from imagination. Yes, he probably used buildings that were in existence as his models, but he created this. And like there's simple things, like for example, the width right here on this side of the door and this side of the door are uneven. The Dutch had a propensity for symmetry. That is probably not true. And it probably was an aspect of his composition in that he wanted this shutter to lay flat against the wall. Another thing is he used the whitewashing to create simplicity around his human forms. The maid working in the background in the side, in the side courtyard of the house, the children playing along the curb of the street, and then the lady so beautifully framed in the door doing like handwork, the sewing work. Let's go into the detail. He did a wonderful job of creating the visual effect of whitewash and repairs and brick and mortar and glass glazing, repairs, like repointing of where brick and walls started to settle for cracks, and without having to literally articulate every brick. He varied the color of the mortar. He would change things out. But then like, okay, painting wise, let's look at some things. So in some areas you see the ground of the paint, because the ground of umber, white chalk, and lead white. And so some of the umber notes that we see that peek through and you can see the weave of the canvas. So that's our underpainting. And then he thinly applied like this red, it's probably a Venetian red or red ochre as for his brick. And then he would put in these subtle shifts. And then we have a wonderful gray and cloudy sky, which flattens the shadow shapes, which then allows for this beautiful diffused soft light, which then allows almost for the diffused softness of what is probably happening, that we emotionally feel when we see this painting, the quietness of doing your chore, the quietness of children quietly playing, not fighting, and then the quiet of going around and doing your chores. And what's wonderful, we have some wonderful like things that help us with our sense of perspective. that allow us to really fall into the depth of this space. It's just a really, really lovely painting. And I love also how he signed the painting. Let's look at the two. This is a painting that's just a fun one to enjoy. But I also want to do a quick, we've got just let's look at one thing that I want to look at really quickly is also the value range of this painting. You notice our value range, this is a mid-tone painting. And the wonderful thing about when you have a painting that the majority of it is in your value range. So if you have a value gradient of lightest light to darkest dark, you can, if your painting sits, most of the areas sit in the value range of your middle lights and your middle darks, that's where you can, as a painter, you can put more nuance of detail in those shifts in color and temperature and everything. However, we still have the brightest, the darkest dark, and this is our biggest area of our darkest dark. And then this is our biggest area of the lightest light of undisturbed area. I mean, I guess we could say that this might be the next area where he signed his name. And so this automatically makes this area right here a visual focal point. And then by coincidence, color-wise, so he created this area right here as the area of strongest visual strength between lights and darks. But when it comes to the biggest variety of chromatic variety, it is with our maid. And that is because we have some of the most purest tonality of blue right there. In fact, it's not even the blue here is even just a little bit more is less saturated than that bit of blue that's on the maid. And so we have a wonderful, for me, this is what I love about Vermeer too, is that he sucks us in to enjoy the mood of his painting, the narrative, the story that he's telling us in our painting. But he also gives us visual delight and variety. We have the variety of the shifts in value. And then we also have the variety in shifts in texture and edge quality and pattern. And then we also have the variety of color. And it comes together, and it's not loud and bombastic, but instead it's inviting and soft, those quiet moments of the peaceful moments of your daytime routine. And so this is a beautiful little painting of Johannes Vermeer, The Little Street. And it's the beginning of I would say his mature style as an artist too, because it's from this painting, the treatment that he used with his paint handling and everything is what his later works celebrate the most, where the earlier works of Diana and her companions, the allegory of Jesus in the house of Mary and Martha. Those are his earlier works. The way he handled paint there was very different than the way he handles paint in this painting. And in a way, The Little Street is also the painting that starts to whisper to how he will continue to go on and truly master what becomes his very distinct mastery of oil paint as well. Okay, thank you so much.